Friday staining. Let's see if anybody shows up. Friday, I don't know. Friday at 4 p.m. I don't know if this is any better than doing it at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. We're gonna find out though. I know it works better for me because Saturday mornings I've been just coming here just to do this. I feel like it's a waste of time. Welcome everybody to Friday Staining, formerly Saturday Staining. Let me get my hands clean here. Make sure my hands are dry. Oh man, got a lot to get oiled and stained today. I gotta start with the stuff I'm gonna be tongue oiling today. I got a Copus waster, limited edition steak, a Tongan / Maori dagger, a couple of Shotos, and some Hickory Crusader wasters. We got to tongue oil all this stuff. Then I got some steaks, Vampire Hunter steaks I got to stain, and a Vampire Hunter sword. And I got a couple of prop daggers we got to paint today. What's everybody doing on Friday, huh? Figure most people are either coming home from school or getting off of work around this time. Hey, what's up, Jay? How's it going? Thanks for coming to the Friday Staining, the new day and time here. This is a new thing I'm making. This is my first attempt at a Copus waster. It's a small one. I'm going to try to make a longer one next week, I think, out of this white ash. I got this white ash, and it had kind of a weird grain configuration, but I think it will work for the Copus since it's not a super long waster. I feel like I needed more tongue oil on that. There we go. Better than yesterday, I bet. You had pneumonia, right? That's got to be shitty. I've had that once, and it's not fun. Never a good time. So I'm glad to hear you're on the mend. All right, let me stick this up. And, I tell you guys, this week my heart's broken with I have these two pieces of oak I've been trying to make Boken out of, and unfortunately there's just something not right with the grain. It's got voids in it, so I think I'm just gonna auction these two. I tried to make regular size Boken. I had to cut them down because of voids, and then when I cut them down and went to work on them more, there were just a couple. I mean, they're small voids, but I won't sell them at full price that way. And they're probably still functional. They seem functional. The grain configuration is still good. It's just I can't do my usual guarantee on these, so I will probably sell them as a set on auction on eBay. Probably put them up on Sunday. They're pretty short. I think one's 32 and one's like 24. But if you're into using short swords, they would probably be useful. Stroke it. That's, dude, you have no idea how often I hear the stroke your wood jokes, my guy. I get them every time. It's all right, though. Welcome. Not a samurai sword, just a wooden bokken. This is straight edge. This probably would be closer to like a short ninja toe. It is, the proportions are based on the Japanese bokken, though, if that's what your question is. Yes. And this is the shorter of the two Shoto bokken. This one doesn't really have any voids in it, but it is shorter than normal, so this one's going to get auctioned off and is a set with the other one. The Japanese. This would be Japanese culture. Would be this one. But I got a Maori Polynesian dagger we're going to be doing here in a second, and I've got some European broadsword wasters that we're going to do here in a sec. So I've made broadsword wasters out of oak, and I've made them out of white ash, but I actually got my hands on some good hickory recently, so I have made a couple out of hickory. I'm going to see how those do. These are my shop's broadsword wasters. Basically, a waster is just the European version of a bokken, of a wooden practice sword. These are made from 3/4 inch American hickory. And as with all of the bokken and wasters in my shop, these are, of course, guaranteed not to break under normal use for over a year. And if they do break under normal use, all you got to do is send me a message, let me know how it broke, and send me a quick picture just so I can figure out if it was the wood grain or if it was a flaw in design. And I will send you a replacement free of charge. You don't have to return the old one. You just send me a photo and say, hey, this thing broke when it shouldn't have broke, and I will replace it. Oh, thanks, Brown Shower. A ceremony sword? No. These are practice swords. All of these are practice swords. Nothing ceremonial about these. These are intended to get beat up. That's what these are made for. But this one, these are hickory. You can see the two-tone on the handle there for the hickory. That's usually how you can identify hickory, is that interesting little dark to blonde tone. And I got 2 of these to oil up today. And the tongue oil here, what this does is it penetrates the wood. It dries hard. It kind of dries almost like a resin. And it seals, protects, and reinforces the wood. Makes it a little bit stronger. Make sure that it's protected from insects and decay. A lot of the stuff I work with is already insect resistant, but always good to have a backup. Oiling my wood, yes, Dave. No, this is actually one of 3 jobs that I have there, Anderson. This is I work in home renovations during the day. I write books for Penguin Random House on mythology, and then this is my 3rd job, is this shop. But yeah, I know. I feel like anytime new people come in here, I always get a lot of oiling my wood jokes and stroking my wood jokes, and that's all right. Go for it. Go nuts, people. I don't know if the Vikings used practice swords. I know wasters were a thing during the Viking Age. You didn't want to use live blades during practice, but you also, the idea back then was that you learned from getting hit. And so you needed it to hurt when you got hit. And wooden swords were the best way to do that. With live blade, if you practiced with live blade, there wasn't really a way to get hit to learn. You'd have to pull your punches or you'd end up accidentally killing the person you're practicing with. So wasters were a good way to get around that. These days, most of my clients are either Buhurt or Armored Combat, HEMA, SCA, people like that who don't want to mess up their competition weapons, so they use my wasters to practice. Well, yeah, when it comes to combat martial arts of any kind, the best way to learn how to not get hit is to get hit. It kind of sucks. Now, that doesn't mean you stand there and let someone hit you. That's ridiculous. But the idea is you want to learn how you're getting hit. And the only way is to get hit. Pain is a good teacher. If you get hit, your brain goes, okay, let's not do that again. Hey, what's up, Hyder? It's all good, James. All good, Dave James. Do I have a website? Yeah, I do. It's not functional right now. My eBay site is functional. It's in my bio. You go to my link tree in my bio. You can go to, I have an eBay shop, Warrior Wooden Props. Link tree is in my bio here and on Instagram. And on TikTok. You can go to my my link tree and go to the eBay shop. All my stuff is available on the eBay shop. I work with metal sometimes. I'm not a metal worker, but sometimes, like right now, I'm working on a war club for a guy. He wanted a knife blade embedded in the wood. So sometimes it's mostly I'll do grinding and shaping of metal, but I'm not a blacksmith. So I usually work with metal fabricators if I need something custom. Somebody was asking about cultures. This one here is a Maori wooden dagger. The Tongans also used this design. It's made of ipe wood, very strong stuff. You wouldn't think wooden daggers. This is not a practice dagger. This is an actual dagger. Wooden daggers are actually pretty common among a lot of cultures where steel or metal was not as commonly used. And depending on the kind of wood you use, you could get, I mean, these designs are pretty awesome. The Pahoa dagger from the Polynesian people of Hawaii, very, very good design of a lot of those Pahoa daggers. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely do the stabby with this. This one, it's got almost like a leaf bladed design, you can see, and works very nice for the stabby. Please don't stabby though with my stuff. I don't want to end up on the news that way. No committing of the crimes with my stuff, please. And then I got, so every year in my shop, I make a lot of different kinds of vampire steaks because I am a nerd when it comes to old vampire movies. Love them. I have probably the widest selection of vampire hunter steaks you will find anywhere on the internet because I'm a little obsessed with it. It's kind of a problem. But every year I have a limited edition design that I make. This year I'm doing a bellied handle with a conical tip made out of ipe. I will make probably 10 to 15 of these. That's how many I usually make for the limited edition. Last year I only made 2 because I had an issue with the wood. But this year I'll probably make 10 to 15. They come with the certificates, so you know which in the series you get. I sell them in order. The first one goes, and the second one. Well, yeah, these are gonna be nice. They're sanded up to 1,000 grit, so they have like a glass smooth surface, and they're ipe wood, which means very, very strong stuff. It's also called ironwood by some people. But these are fun. All right, and then I think that'll be the last of my tongue oiled stuff, and then we got to move on to do some staining and some painting here. Just want to make sure this is completely wiped down. We don't want any excess on these because you end up with a weird drip if you do that. So you've got to kind of make sure you wipe it well. Just stab that through my cloth. That's fine. All right, be right back. Let me put this up in the drying room. Am I a vampire slayer? I mean, if I ever find a vampire, absolutely. I have so many vampire steaks. But yes, they are steaks. They're yours truly. Yeah, Todd, yeah, those are vampire steaks. I sell probably the most wide selection of vampire steaks you're going to find anywhere on the internet. I've got them made of all different shapes, designs, wood types. As you'll see, I've got at least 3 more types of steaks I'm getting ready to stain up here in a sec once I deglove and switch over to my staining stuff. Be right back. But yeah, no, so Todd, growing up, I had insomnia a lot, and a lot of times in the middle of the night, they used to just play all kinds of just low budget movies, right? And I absolutely fell in love with the Hammer films of the 70s, like Hammer House of Horror films of the 70s. You know, Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, all those people. It was awesome. And, you know, and that continued on growing up with the Lost Boys and so many other vampire films, the Monster Squad. So, since I have a woodworking shop, a lot of times when I have cutoffs that I can't use for anything else, I make steaks out of them. And it's fun. Sometimes the steaks are really nice. Sometimes they're very simple. It just kind of depends on what the wood is doing. But yeah, I have a Vampire Hunter D poster over here on the other side of this phone. I've got a Buffy the Vampire Slayer poster over here. I've got a Monster Squad poster over here. I got a Beware of Vampire sign right there by the door. I've got a Nosferatu poster in the other room next to my desk. I'm a little obsessed with vampire movies. Like right now, my most recent vampire movie is Sinners. And if you haven't seen Sinners, I highly recommend seeing that movie. It's probably the best vampire movie I've seen in a very long time. And thank God that the freaking vampires didn't sparkle. I gotta stir this stain up because it's definitely separated. It's been sitting for a while. Always stir your product, people. Let me make sure I got the right stain though. This is, yeah, provincial. All right, cool. Because I got one I'm gonna do in provincial, and then everything else is gonna get Jacobine. If I'm saying that right. I always forget how that one's pronounced. Pee Wee Herman was your favorite vampire? Hell yeah. So it's funny, that scene in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know, where he gets staked. Excuse me, it takes like 15 minutes for him to die. Like, I make a replica. I make actually 2 different two different versions of replicas of that steak that she used in that scene, because that's one of my favorite parts of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Is when the vampires attack the prom at the end of the movie. She whips out this like duffel bag just full of steaks, and if you ever go back and watch that final battle scene, she goes from having like actual like wooden steaks to like furniture leg pieces. And by the time she gets to Pee Wee Herman's character, she's got it's a 12-inch wooden ruler that she's just sharpened the tip on. She's just sharpened one end of a ruler, and that's what she stakes him with. And I've always thought that's hilarious. And I don't feel like that whole joke or that gag in that movie gets enough credit, because it's hilarious. The types of stakes she's using just keep getting more and more improvised as it goes on. It's like she knew this was going to happen, so she just went home and sharpened anything that was made out of wood in her house. Yes, stirred, not shaken. For sure. Here, Tony. Let's see. All right, so this one, I'm calling this a Vampire Hunter sword steak. It is got a nice little conical tip, bellied handle. Plenty of reach on this. If you're a fencer, this would be great. If you're a vampire hunter who's also a fencer, you've got plenty of reach to get to the heart. Which, pro tip on vampire steaks, if you're going to make a vampire steak, you need at least 6 inches of stabbing tip. All right? If you have less than 6 inches of stabbing tip, you will not reach the heart, because that is the distance from your sternum to the heart itself. You need at least 6 inches of stabbing tip. I would recommend a 7-inch minimum for your vampire steaks. And because, you know, if your vampire has a lot of muscle or a lot of fat on their chest area, there's a chance you might not reach the heart. So you definitely, I would say 7 inches is a good rule of thumb for a minimum. 6 inches, bare minimum. I always feel like people ignore, in vampire movies, a lot of times they ignore some of the basic like rules when it comes to staking vampires, and that always bugs me. Because when I was young, I have rampant ADHD, and I kind of hyper focused on vampire hunting for a few years, and I learned everything there is to know about vampire hunting, and there are actually rules about staking vampires that most movies don't follow at all. Number 1, never ever stake a vampire with an evergreen wood. Because, old Romanian lore, they said that evergreen wood was a symbol of immortality, and since vampires were immortal, a stake made out of an evergreen wood would not kill a vampire. And in some of the lore, it says it could make them stronger. So I don't know if that's something you really want to go testing if you run into a real vampire. So definitely don't use an evergreen wood. Number 2, never take the stake out. If you stake a vampire, you leave the stake in, because some lore states that if you stake the stake out, they will regenerate immediately and start attacking. So once you stake the stake in, leave the stake in. Also, most of the old school lore says you got to chop their head off and burn the remains after that. According to the old school Romanian lore, some of it kind of makes it seem like a stake doesn't actually kill a vampire. What it does is it kind of makes it impossible for them to keep moving. So it kind of like freezes them in like a state of suspended animation. And then you use that opportunity to chop their head off and burn the remains. Or at the very least, chop the head up. But most of the lore says that if you left a vampire out in the light of the next full moon, they would regenerate and come back to life, which is what you want to avoid. I would think hydrochloric acid kind of trumps everything, right? Like, I think if you can leave them in there long enough, hydrochloric acid takes a while. It's not as fast as what the movies make it seem like, but yeah, I would think if you could seal a vampire into a tank of hydrochloric acid, I would say that once you've completely eliminated the body down to to nothing, yeah, I think you're good. You just don't want to leave anything for them to regenerate. The Romanian people had a period of time when they sold these coffins that had like a big guillotine-like blade at neck level on the lid and a stake at chest level, so that when you close the coffin lid, it would stake and decapitate the person inside. That way, you could make sure that your loved ones did not come back as a cursed member of the undead. And a very important thing to the people of Romania in that period of time. That would have been anywhere from like the 14th to the early 20th century. But I would think hydrochloric acid would probably work in lieu of burning, you know. So first I got a hammer stake. I got a humongous hammer stake over here. But first I got to stain up the hammer. And then we're going to I'm going to try doing a handle wrap on the hammer handle this time. It's a wood mallet. This was made of European beech. Very strong stuff. And the hammer stake is just made out of a basic... This is actually pine, so again, evergreen wood. So if you're going to use it against an actual vampire, do not recommend. But if you need it for a prop, it works great. Hammer stakes are usually very beefy and they have very wide handles. The reason they are called a hammer stake is because you take a hammer and you basically hammer it down into the chest cavity of the vampire. How do you get these? You can go to my eBay shop, Warrior Wooden Props. Link tree should be in my bio. Just go to the eBay shop, Warrior Wooden Props, or just go to eBay and search vampire stake, and my stuff will come. My stuff will come up immediately. You can just go to my shop, Warrior Wooden Props, on eBay. All my stuff is on there. All right, so that's the handle. Got to do the handle first. There we go. Handle's done. Now we got to do the hammerhead. Jacobine I like because it's a darker stain. It's not like black, but it's a very, very dark stain. So if you're looking for something that kind of gives a good... it works really well with distressing if you need to distress it. It does a great job with that. But I got to stain it unassembled first. There we go. I don't know why I threw away my wipe-off rag. That was a bad idea. There we go. Just got to wipe off the excess here so I can put this bad boy together. And these little mallets, they're friction fit, but you don't want to do the friction part until they're stained. There we go. There we are. Now we got a mallet. And so now that works for the stake. Now we got to do this freaking behemoth of a stake here. I may have gone a little overboard with this one, but it had kind of a rough spot in the handle, but I think it gave it some personality, so I left it. Probably could have cut it shorter, but I think I'm going to distress the stake and the hammer a little bit before I do the finishing work. Which, by the way, if you want to see me do finishing work on all this stuff, I go live on Sunday mornings at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. where I do all of my finishing work. I come in very early on Sundays, and I do all my handle wrapping and gluing up and anything that basically gets this stuff finished. And I have to put a little stain down in that hole. There's a knot in the handle, but you know it's a prop. Shouldn't be an issue. As I said, this one's made out of pine, so it's an evergreen wood. So do not recommend for actual vampire hunting. Also, if you buy one of my stakes, please don't stake anyone for any reason. Again, I don't want to end up on the news like that. I don't want some reporter at my door asking me why I sold someone a vampire stake and they went around and staked people. Please don't stake anyone. No committing of the crimes with my stuff, please. All right, there we go. And now we've got hammer stake and hammer. All right. I've got a few different type of hammer stake designs. This is a new one. I'm probably just going to one-off this. I doubt I'm going to make this again. So this will go up on Sunday afternoon. They put it in the drying room. And then this is a pretty common design in my shop. I've got a few different types of these. These were just, it was a cutoff from another, actually a home improvement project I'm working on for a client. We had this, so didn't have anything else to do with it. So I turned it, I'm going to make these into sets of 2. I've got 2 sets. I'm going to stain these, distress them. We're going to wrap the handles, and these will be sold as sets. Yeah, right. What state am I in? I am in Florida. I am on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Because of course I'm in Florida. Your wife loves the Anne Rice vampires? Yeah, that's I've read a lot of those books. Does she like the new show? The new show's pretty good. The Interview with Vampire shows is not bad. Not bad at all. There, Harvey. And Todd, you can get these, like I said, on the eBay shop. And Harvey, I agree. Thank goodness vampires are not real, because I honestly feel like most of us would just die. That's one. But the nice thing when you do work with pine to make like prop stakes, when you stain pine, it really does a good job of showing like that wood grain. And it does look good. It definitely looks better with stain when you use pine for prop stakes. A lot of the stakes you see like in movies, a lot of that's pine or balsa. A lot of times they use balsa wood because balsa wood is like trying to make a stabbing implement out of balsa wood. It's not going to work. If you make a stake out of balsa wood, it's just going to crumble when you go to stab someone with it. Balsa wood's very, very flimsy stuff. So a lot of times for safety reasons, obviously they make stake props for like movies and stuff out of balsa wood. I don't, unless I'm asked. If you want a prop stake that like is safe to use, I do make those. Just don't make them unless I'm asked to, because most people don't want those. They want the real thing. So do those a lot more. All right, put these 2 up. We got 2 more of these, and then I got a set of prop daggers I got to paint real quick, and then I'm done, son. It has been a week, man. But thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with me on Friday stating. Like, I usually do this on Saturday mornings. This is the first time I've done it on a Friday afternoon. I wasn't sure if anybody was going to show up. So thank you guys for showing up and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all the questions. It helps me be less bored while I sit here and stroke my wood. I'm sorry I couldn't help myself. You don't want to be food, Todd? You don't want to be food? Would I want to be turned or no? You know what? Todd, I have struggled with that question. And here's the thing. Like, for me, being turned into a vampire has nothing to do with, like, the superpowers or the immortality or, like, I don't really care about any of that. I just would love to be able to, like, live long enough to, like, watch empires rise and fall, to, like, I don't know, to, like, witness history across centuries, because no one gets to do that. You know, at best, as humans, we get a century, and that's about it. You know, and I'm a bit of a history geek, and I would love to be able to live long enough. Like, if I was a vampire, I'd probably do my best to be a vegetarian if that was an option. You know, feed on rats or, you know, people who are willing. Not, you know, I would do my best not to kill anyone because I don't want to do that. But I think there's a part of me sometimes at this age, at 48, I'm like, you know what? And also, like, because I live in constant pain at this age because I have so many injuries from my crazy youth. Like, it would be nice, I think, to not be in pain all the time. But then I think, you know, eventually I'm probably going to want to die, and then that's a whole other situation I got to deal with. So I don't know. It's something I struggle with for sure. Probably more than a grown man should. I ponder that question a lot, Todd. I ponder it a lot. I said history geek, Jay, not history scholar. Yeah, right, Highlander. Yeah, same thing. Like, that's what I always thought was cool about Highlander as well. Which, by the way, Henry Cavill, you guys, he's coming out with another Highlander, and it looks awesome so far. But yeah, like the Highlander, it's a great example where you kind of see these guys go through different ages. I also, like, if you watched The Sandman on Netflix, you know, there's a part in there where he has this guy who's kind of friends with who he gives immortality to, and he lives through like different ages. Sometimes things are great, another 100 years things suck, but he still wants to be alive, and that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, I would love to see how things kind of rise and fall, how humans rise to great heights and fall to horrible depths. I am a history geek, though, Jay, not a history scholar. And the reason for that is that I suck at math, you guys. Like, I can sit here and probably recite an entire, like era of history. Like, I can pretty much tell you, like, the entire life and journeys of Alexander the Great, but I cannot tell you the years or dates that any of that shit happened because I suck at math. Anything with numbers, I suck at. I'm not great with dates, but I'm really good at remembering events. I can tell you what happened, I just can't tell you when. Usually I can at least get it right. I can get the century right most of the time. Because to me, history is just kind of like a series of stories. And that's kind of what I like about history. Because history, you guys, it is stories. You always remember that. History is not concrete. History was written by somebody who sometimes had something to gain. All right, give me 1 sec, you guys. Let me put this away, and then I gotta move some stuff here. All right, let me grab a little drop cloth to put down. Because I got some prop daggers I've been sitting on for about a week now, and I keep putting off painting them. I need to paint them so I can get them finished. It'd probably be a good idea if I clean my hands first to make sure I don't get stain on them. Speaking of, let's get the paint over here. And a stir stick. And my brush. Yeah, Highlander. I am super stoked to see an updated Highlander. If it was anybody but Henry Cavill, I'd be pissed about it. or is it Cavill? I don't know. However you say his last name. I always mispronounce people's names. But like, if it was anybody but him doing it, I'd probably be like, leave it alone. But I know he's an absolute nerd, and I love that about him, and he knows his shit. He knows the source material. So I loved him in The Witcher. I think that Netflix and DC did him dirty with that whole thing. And I can't even bring myself to watch the last season of The Witcher because he's not in it. I can't. I tried. The Hemsworth brothers just not cutting it for me. You can't give me The Witcher, Henry Cavill as The Witcher, and then try to replace him with a Hemsworth. Like, I get it. Nice try, but no, you can't do that. You cannot have a guy who's so perfectly cast and then replace him. It just doesn't work. Oh, he was a great Superman. I don't know about the best. You know, I think all the guys who have played Superman have their merits. You know, I think they all do. You know, they're all different a little bit in different ways. I think that, you know, it's a different takes on the character, but he's definitely one of my favorites for sure. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of like asking who's your favorite doctor, you know, from Doctor Who. Like I mean, all the doctors have their merits, but I fucking love the 10th Doctor because the 10th Doctor was the best Doctor. I'm sorry, he was. And I'll die on this hill. You're going to have to fight me. Ooh, man. I tell you, I've got this aluminum paint. It uses actual, like, metal flakes in it. Like, basically, like, metallic powder. And, man, when it separates, all the metal just goes to the bottom. And I've just got to, like, it's just really hard to stir, you guys. And it separates so fast. The 10th Doctor of David Tennant. The one with the huge scarf was your favorite? Yeah, that's old school. Nothing wrong with, like I said, same thing. You know, it's like, who's your favorite James Bond? Or, you know, it's just, you know, everyone has their favorite. And I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone's favorites. I think everybody gets to geek out about their own shit. But I have never had, I mean, I've had fun watching Doctor Who since I was a kid. Back when it was on, I'd watch it on PBS, unbeknownst to my parents when I was very young. But but David Tennant, when he was on, I had more fun watching him be the Doctor than anybody else I've ever seen play that role. You've used what for covering knots? Aluminum paint? Like in wood? Oh my God, this stuff. Hurry up and mix, God damn it. It's taking forever. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's good. Come on, let go. This is supposed to be a hands-free holder for these shop towels, and I'm calling bullshit on that. There we go. Set that off to the side here. So anyway, these are just prop daggers. These are made out of Okome wood. Okome wood is great stuff for making props because Okome, it's soft, kind of like balsa, but not so soft that it doesn't, like, it can hold. But if I were to hit somebody with like a sword made out of Okome, it would break or it would dent. before it could really do any damage. So Okome is a great wood. It's not a hardwood. It's sturdy though, but it's still soft enough and light enough to be safe. So if you're ever looking for a wood to make props with, Okome, Okoume, excellent stuff. I do a lot of prop swords and daggers and stuff of that nature out of it. Ooh, I might have loaded that brush a little too much. Pray for me, people. All right, come on. See if I can draw this out enough so I don't get too many drips or brush strokes. That's not good. Do not overload your brush. I should have paid a little more attention. I might be able to draw it out a little more though. So I'll come back in on Sunday. When I come back in, actually I'm coming in the morning just to tape up a bat that I'm going to be painting soon. I'm doing a custom bat for a client who wants a Kurumi. I think it's how you say it, Kurumi. It's like a goth Hello Kitty kind of thing. And they want, yeah, see, this is how it should look. And they want a barbed wire bat made out of that. So I'm making them like a Negan bat style bat. It's the main bat is plum with a lavender purple diamond pattern on it, and it's gonna have black and gold barbed wire and Kuromi stickers all over it. Should look cool as hell when I'm done, hopefully. Looking forward to that. The spray paint I had to get like custom spray paint made this time because I could not get the colors that she wanted. And I used Montana spray paint, which I have never used before. They're not paying me to say this, you guys, but holy shit, that spray paint is fucking awesome. Sorry, and I apologize for saying fuck so much. But yeah, it's amazing paint. Highly recommend it. If you need spray paint, Montana spray paint is freaking awesome, you guys. Like, I have never had spray paint go on so evenly. Like, it is so... Okay, we're going to have to do something about this. Hang on. It sprays out so even. I'm going to have to wipe this. It's just got way too much paint. That's not going to look good if I don't wipe that off. And then we're going to go over it with the brush again. Which is okay. You can do that as long as your paint is still wet, and mine is. So, there we go. We're going to do this. Get my fingerprints out of there. Oh yeah, I also make custom baseball bats, you guys. I make all kinds of weird-ass baseball bats. That is something I'm kind of known for. I've made some for a lot of YouTubers. I made the Refashion Hippie, who's here on YouTube. She does fashion and design stuff. I made a Balenciaga baseball bat for her because she hates Balenciaga. I've made a nail bat for Nugs the Final Girl. She's also here on YouTube. She does horror movie reviews. Really nice lady. Made a nail bat for her that says Nugs the Final Girl on one side and Lights Out Meatball on the other. I've made axe bats, machete bats, spiked bats, barbed wire bats, nail bats. I made a unicorn bat once with a freaking sparkly pink resin unicorn horn on the side with an LED light in it that lit up and had a switch on it, and it was awesome. I made that for somebody named B Sparksful, who took the bat and then ghosted me, which kind of pissed me off, but oh well. All right. This, by the way, I know people are like, oh no, you're being wasteful because you throw away your paintbrushes. This is called a chip brush. These are made to be thrown away. They are very cheap. You can get like 50 of these for like $10. They're very cheap. Very, very cheap. They are not made to be reused. Yeah. So Tennant was your first Doctor Who there, Harvey? Yeah. I feel like he brought a lot of people into the fandom, though, before, because I don't know that I feel like the Doctor Who fandom definitely exploded under his watch. I do feel like he made it a little more mainstream, and that's cool. All right. Sorry, I can't really show these daggers. Well, I guess I could do this. But now you guys can see. So these will sit overnight and dry. Gravity will take care of any brush strokes that are still in them. And they'll get flipped. Once they are ready, I will wrap the handles and we'll be good to go. When I am done with painting for today's Friday staining, you guys want to do some show and tell? Anybody want to see some weird bats? I've got some bats I can show you guys. I think I've got one. I only got one, actually, I think, on hand that I can really show you guys. But I'd be happy to go grab it. It's my axe bat. I had to make a prop bat for this guy. There's this video game called Days Gone where they have like an axe bat made with saw blades. And he wanted that. So I made a proof of concept for myself with a different paint job, and then once I knew that would work, I made his. But I still have that one. I haven't sold it yet, but that's okay because I kind of like it. Maybe I'll never sell it; it'll be mine. I don't know. But yeah, this is one of the bats I've made. I call this one the no-brainer. But yeah, it's an axe bat made out of a table saw blade. I cut the blade in half and flipped it so that the teeth point down on both sides. It's awesome. I freaking love this bat. What? I make custom. When I say I make custom bats, this is what I mean. I make whatever kind of baseball bat you want, or war club. I make war clubs as well. I make custom everything. If it's a melee weapon and you want it, I probably can make it for you. But I've made all kinds of crazy-ass baseball bats. I love making them. They're all battle ready. Please don't hit anybody with my baseball bats, though. But yeah, I have all kinds of crazy shit that I make in my shop. And this is an example of what happens when I'm left unsupervised. Look, let's see. I got about 5 minutes before I gotta bail, you guys. You guys want to see anything else before I go? I'm working on some other stuff right now. I guess I could show you. Let me put this bad boy over here so I don't mess it up. I'm working on this one. I'm kind of disappointed. This one I'm way behind on. This is a custom war club out of rosewood that I am making for a client. They want me to saw teeth into the 3 teeth at the top, 3 teeth at the bottom, and then there's going to be a knife blade embedded right here. Problem is my bandsaw fucking broke, so my bandsaw doesn't work. So it's going to be very difficult to cut these teeth manually. If you've ever worked with rosewood, it's like stone. Trying to cut this with a handsaw, I'll probably have it done next year. So I'm trying to figure out how. I'm trying to see if there's somebody I know with a bandsaw that can maybe help me out, let me borrow their bandsaw. I literally just need 30 minutes with a bandsaw or less. They'd probably do this in 5 minutes with a bandsaw. I just need to be able to cut these teeth in so I can sand them up, and then I can drill the hole for that knife blade to go in, and all I have to do is wrap the handle and it'll be all done. It's really cool. It's based on like a rifle stock style of club. This was actually a actual club that existed that's in a museum. The client couldn't buy that, obviously, so they sent it to me. But the weird thing about it is it's obviously not really a rifle stock because it's got this big like pommel on the bottom. And at first I thought that pommel was kind of weird, but honestly, it's really nice because it balances the weight of that front end. It really makes it easier to wield. This thing is beefy as shit. And the fact that big counterweight on the bottom, it really balances it out. And I love that. I always think it's funny when you see a weapon design and you think, why does it look like that? Then you pick it up and you swing it around a little bit and you realize, oh, that's why. Oh, there we go. All right, you guys. Well, if no one's got any more questions or anything else you want to see, I'm going to probably call it a day. And go home, relax, because tomorrow I got to do adult stuff like grocery shop and laundry. And by the way, being an adult sucks. I do not recommend it. 0 stars on being an adult. It is not fun. But if you got any questions while I'm cleaning up, stick them in that chat, or if there's something else in my inventory you want to see. I've got vampire stakes, I've got war clubs, wooden swords of all possible kinds, baseball bats, Yawara, martial arts weapons, trap knives, you name it. Actually, I should probably leave this paint out since I'm probably going to have to paint these in the morning anyway. Leave that paint out. Put up my tung oil. Leave that too. Well, like I said earlier, everything you guys have seen on here, you can find. If it's not on my shop already, it'll be on there on Sunday. But all of my stuff's listed on my eBay shop, Warrior Wooden Props. WarriorWoodenProps.com is a thing that exists. You can go there, but it's a Shopify hosted website. Shopify had a brain fart back in like July or August, and they have 0 customer support, so I can't even log into my account. So I have no freaking idea how. I'm basically paying Shopify $40 a month for a website that doesn't work right now. All right, Harvey. Harvey, I'm gonna be gone soon. But yeah, it's just it doesn't really work. And I used to tell people to use the contact button on that site, but apparently if you send me an email and I reply to it, I will end up in your spam folder. So don't use that. Just go to eBay. Or you can email me at natrbrown37@gmail.com. That's natrbrown37@gmail.com. You can email me there, and I will gladly, if you have a custom you want me to look at, I will gladly hear what you got in mind and see if we can get that knocked out for you. I make custom just about every, if it's a weapon, I probably make it. Like if it's a melee weapon. I don't do firearms, I don't do bows, I don't do anything like that. But if it's a sword or a dagger or a wooden sword or a wooden dagger or a war club or a baseball bat, or any other kind of crazy melee stuff you want, flails, chucks, you name it, I probably can make it. So if you ever had some weird ass like zombie apocalypse weapon that you've wanted to see brought to life, I can do it for you. It's my favorite thing in the freaking world to do, is to take somebody's weird ass idea and bring it to life. It's like it brings me nothing but great joy. All right, you guys. I think that's going to be it for me today. I am almost out of time. I got about 2 minutes, and then I got to bail. But thank you guys again for hanging out with me on my first Friday staining. Switching over from Saturdays. I wasn't sure if anybody was going to show up, so I really appreciate people showing up and asking questions. You guys have been awesome. I will be back live Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time for Sunday finishing work. Do that every Sunday, 7:30 a.m. every Sunday. And probably this will become a regular thing at 4 p.m. On Fridays. I'll be doing my Friday staining, formerly Saturday staining. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Sunday.